mixed indications that you might become wealthy someday. Becoming a billionaire can seem to be an improbable goal at first glance. Even I was under the impression that it was something that would never take place in my life. But as it turns out, being wealthy is a lot more frequent than you would think. And it's not just possible but also achievable provided you have the correct attitude to become rich. The video for today will discuss some of the probable indicators that you may become wealthy in the future. Let's get into it. Number 1, you began earning money when you were a child. One thing that wealthy people have in common is that they got their first job while still very young. This is one of the qualities that define wealth. For instance, Mark Cuban began selling trash bags door to door at the age of 12. Warren Buffett started selling gum to his neighbors when he was only 6 years old. And Richard Branson began breeding and selling buggies at the age of 11 when he was starting in the business world. If you already possessed an entrepreneurial spirit when you were young, you will almost certainly become a billionaire at some point in your life. It is because it is biologically and psychologically inherent in you to always look for new methods to improve your financial situation. Number 2, you have a great deal of aspiration. Did you feel good marks in school were never enough for you? From the beginning of your life, have you strived to be the greatest in whatever you did? If you can provide affirmative responses to both of these questions, then it is likely that you will amass a lot of wealth. People who are already millionaires often set very lofty goals for themselves. They are not content to earn simply $1 million. Instead, they aim to make $10 million. Those driven to achieve their ambitions almost always finish their work ahead of deadlines they set for themselves and seldom go behind schedule. One of the primary reasons ambitious individuals can accumulate riches is because they are motivated to attain excellence in their endeavors and succeed in accomplishing their objectives. People who do not respect others' achievements are often not primarily driven to achieve their own. We may compare ambition to the enormous ideas we all have floating around in our thoughts and desire to make come true. It is a force that contributes to making choices and overcoming challenging roads. Because it fosters the ambition to do better in oneself, this trait has the potential to be seen as a positive quality. Number 3, you have a very attractive appearance. I am aware that this may come out as insensitive to some people. Still, research conducted by Daniel Hammermesh, an economics professor at the University of Texas, has proven that this is the case. Beautiful individuals earn roughly 3 to 4% more than those with a lower than average look, says Hammermesh. Although it may not seem like much, adding this to a person's total lifetime earnings might increase by almost $200,000 on average. Hammermesh verified that charming individuals had a greater chance of winning goodwill during interviews and having better success in sales talks. Number 4, you have a mindset that is focused on taking action. Are you the kind of person that seizes opportunities as soon as they present themselves and works quickly to make the most of them? Do you think that you are responsible for creating your good fortune? If this describes you, allow me to congratulate you for adopting the action-oriented mentality necessary to become a financially successful person. Many individuals hold off on doing things until they feel it's the proper time or they're in the right mood. The trouble is that these moments never arrive, so they wait forever. There is no such thing as the right moment or the ideal circumstance. Instead, there are opportunities. It is up to you to take those chances when they present themselves. Even if you have a fantastic concept, if you don't take the action to make it a reality, it will remain just an idea. However, what steps should you take to put your thoughts into action? The following is a condensed list of the rules. Put what you know into writing. Our brain is not designed to be a data storage device. Instead, it needs the freedom to think, make connections, and develop new ways to solve problems. If our minds are consistently bombarded with too many ideas, our brains will not be able to perform at their optimal level. To begin taking action, the first thing you need to do is to get all of your thoughts out of your brain and onto paper or into a digital document. This might include mind maps or notions strewn all over the place. Doing so will make more room in your mind to concentrate on matters of the utmost significance to you. Separate into individual steps. You will have a much simpler time reaching each subsequent step of the roadmap if you break it up into more manageable chunks. Determine which of these phases are the most critical. In project management, they are referred to as milestones. These are the intermediate stages of your trip that you must attain no matter what. You will be unable to go ahead without them. Concentrate on completing one step at a time. You don't necessarily need to have the whole journey in your head. You should permit yourself to think in the baby stages. Begin with the more inconsequential activities when the project is broken down into its parts. It will be much simpler failure to follow this rule. You should always begin with relatively few simple actions. When you do this, you will have a powerful impetus to press forward. The modest benefits you receive will fill your energy reservoir in preparation for the tough times that are to come. There are several intermediate deadlines. Each stage needs to be assigned a due date, an actual date that you can note on the calendar. Take care to ensure that this date is achievable. It should not be too near, as this might discourage you if you are unable to meet it, nor should it be too far away, as a deadline can provide some motivation to help you attain your objective. It is crucial to create intermediate deadlines, which means that you should not just worry about the end outcome, but concentrate on what you need to achieve today, tomorrow, and the following week to attain that objective. Time boxing is a strategy that enables you to concentrate on a certain amount of time, for example, tomorrow or the following week, and complete the goals that you have set for that time. Verify that these are the intermediate results. Take a minute at each step to evaluate your work and determine whether or not you accomplished the goal within the allocated time frame. What was not completed? Is it required to redefine the project's path to make up for what has been left behind, or does it become necessary to plan new deadlines? Last but not least, don't forget to celebrate every single achievement. Reward yourself. It is essential to use the correct charge of energy to succeed. Remember that people who become billionaires do not wait for opportunities to invest or launch businesses. They know that the most significant time to begin earning is always the present. One of the easiest ways to ruin your hopes and ambitions is to do nothing except sit around and wait. Number 5, you are open-minded, but could you perhaps explain it in more detail? A person is said to have an open mind if they are constantly receptive to new concepts and other beliefs or points of view. To have an open mind is to be ready to consider the ideas put forward by other people, regardless of whether or not those ideas align with our own. Next, we need to assess these recommendations and decide whether we will adopt them and make them our own or dismiss them. People who do not have open minds are either not flexible or too afraid of the potential of change to allow themselves to be flexible. They worry about the things they do not understand and say, I am unable to modify my view and accept that of others. Put it another way, you might say they have a closed or framed feel. There is no telling when an opportunity may present itself to you. If you don't consider investing in the possibilities that come your way immediately, you could find that you've already missed the boat by the time you realize it would have been a smart move. For this reason, wealthy people constantly look for novel concepts. It's possible that they wouldn't have considered it in the past, but now that they know it may bring in some cash, they are willing to alter their thoughts about it. It's also possible that they wouldn't have considered it in the past. The ideal policy is not to impose any restrictions. If you are willing to broaden your perspective and use the possibilities available to you, some endless activities and accomplishments are within your grasp. According to a quote attributed to Warren Buffett, opportunities don't come frequently. If it starts to rain gold, you should put out a bucket and not a thimble. Number 6, you can live below your financial obligations. One other quality shared by all millionaires is the ability to maintain a more modest living standard than their income. They do not boast about the nice things they own, but they drive practical automobiles, live in modest houses, and do not waste their hard-earned money on luxury items they do not need. Have you ever been offered a bonus at work and your first instinct after receiving it was to blow it all in one night at a fancy, overpriced restaurant? If so, this circumstance is probably familiar to you. You have to understand that most people would consider this a fantastic chance to spend on something extravagant. Nonetheless, it is recommended that you handle this money in the same manner as you would your primary source of income. As long as you don't go overboard with your spending, there is no shame in shelling out cash for your enjoyment. However, the remainder would be better used in the productive ways, such as repaying debts or adding to an investment portfolio. Because of this, the wealthy continue to amass wealth. The wealthy invest their money in assets, which are items that bring in more income for them. On the other hand, the impoverished are more likely to purchase liabilities such as costly clothing, vehicles, and other luxury items. I hope you liked and learned something from today's video. If you want to keep improving and being inspired, subscribe and press the bell button to be alerted whenever we upload a video. This has been Market Profits Institute.